Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video, I'd like to discuss the yellow card concept for the Tory leadership contest. They've introduced a yellow card. It's all getting very exciting. Yesterday afternoon, the chair of the 1922 committee, which is like the union for Tory MPs. They don't call it that because Tories, they don't like unions. And they manage, amongst other things, the leadership contest. They announced they were introducing a yellow card to the proceedings. It's intended to dissuade candidates from briefing against their rivals in the media. In other words, to stop a big old bun fight. And my first thought when I heard this was, oh, they're going to spoil all my fun for next month. But then, having considered the actual proposal, I'm not really sure they're going to at all. Now, before I get onto the details of this, let's just consider what the motivation behind it is. Because they're introducing a brand new sanction here, specifically for backbiting. Briefing against your rivals looks bad. It makes it look like the party have no confidence in the behavioural standards of at least some of the candidates on offer. Because that's what they're saying. We don't trust our candidates. One of these 6 people is going to lead the party. We can't trust them to behave themselves. That's what they're basically saying. And who can blame them after the way the 2022 leadership contest descended into acrimony? And this is new for this leadership contest, of course. And given that we know that of the 6 contestants in the race, I mean, Kemi Badenoch has the reputation for backbiting and a pretty explosive temper. This entire concept risks causing problems for the party quite long term because Badenoch's considered the front runner. I keep saying I'm not so sure myself, but, people are considering her the favourite. The 1922 committee is effectively, so the executive is effectively saying here that the front runner to the contest can't be trusted to behave like a responsible adult without some encouragement. Now, yes, of course, this is directed at others as well, who were effectively being warned about it. For example, the references to Badenoch's blogging past will be an example of the sort of backbiting that this rule is designed to deal with. And obviously that didn't come from Badenoch's camp, that was from someone else. But that may not have actually come from any of the leadership teams. It could just be an enterprising Tory who doesn't want Badenoch to win. There will be some Tory MPs who are not specifically attached to any of the leadership campaigns, but they may have a particular candidate that they definitely don't want to win. They could act solo on this. That creates a problem in itself. What if there is negative briefing in the media, but you can't identify which of the leadership contestants is responsible? Because some briefings could genuinely not be instigated by any of the camps, although you'd think most of them will be. So they must think that the risks of not doing anything extra are worse than how this could pan out, or how it looks, because it looks quite desperate without anything panning out. But then we come to the sanction itself. So how's it going to work? Right. Because we know the concept. A yellow card, it's basically a warning. That was naughty. Don't do that again, otherwise you'll be off. And if you repeat the offence or another similar one, that's a red card, off you go. So has the chair of the 1922, Bob Blackman, said that the contestants could be kicked out for repeated breaches? No, of course not. They can't just decide amongst themselves to kick someone out of the contest. So what is this yellow card? Well, the idea seems to be if anyone is deemed to have briefed against their rivals in the media in an untoward way, they will receive get ready, a public reprimand. They'll be called out. Blackman has also said that further rule infringements would be extremely detrimental to their bids. But I'm assuming he's just suggesting that the behaviour would put off either MPs or party members from voting for them. I'm not sure if he's right about that. Also, what do we say is briefing against your rival anyway? Because I can appreciate that a lot of people within the party would like, can the contenders just all present their own ideas, stand on a positive platform like that? Great, yeah. But in any debate, you have to be free to challenge rival ideas, don't you? You can't just let someone, particularly a politician, say, oh, we should do this for this reason. And everyone else looking at them going, that's nonsense. You've got to be able to call it out. Also, when the character of the the sort of characteristics of the leader, who they are, their personality, when that's important to voters, surely you've got a right to question that as well, their integrity. If someone has a dodgy past, and if they win, that dodgy past is going to be brought up by their political opponents, well, surely it's reasonable to say, we should have a little talk about this when we're considering who to adopt as leader, shouldn't we? Because it's one thing to say, of course, obviously you shouldn't be spreading false allegations or hearsay, but where do you draw the line? The entire concept seems to me like it could end up in a real mess. Because first of all, you'd have to say that some briefings cross a line, but others don't. You can't be saying that criticising or challenging one of your rivals crosses a line. That's ridiculous. So you have to agree there's a line somewhere, and that line is subjectively decided by, presumably, the 1922 executive. As soon as they do that, as soon as they draw that line in the sand, rival groups will surely start arguing about what is and what is not acceptable, and how maybe the 1922 executive have been biased. So if ever Blackman tries to use this sanction, I can see it causing a damaging row in itself. Whichever campaign gets targeted will complain they're being singled out. They'll have an argument about, what about them? They'll say whatever they've done or alleged to have done is no worse than what other groups have done or said about their candidate. This yellow card, if it was ever deployed, it could actually create an extra row. It's designed to sanction backbiting. It could create a bigger row in itself, which makes me wonder if it's even real, if he's even intended to use it. Maybe it's a fake warning. Maybe it's, but any teacher or parent will tell you, don't ever issue a fake ultimatum. Because if you say there's going to be a sanction for particular behaviour, you have to follow through. Or that's it, you've just lost all credibility. And I do think it would be tested. Like, you're not going to tell me there's not going to be some nastiness in this contest. This threat of because what is the threat after all? It's a telling off. We are publicly admonishing you for not behaving like a proper lady or gentleman. That's what the yellow card is. You're not going to tell me that's going to keep them all in line. And then you have your next problem. So let's say, chair of the 1922 Blackman, let's say he wants to trigger the sanction. And let's say it's for something that actually most of the party would generally agree, yeah, that was clearly beyond the pale. Absolutely, that was not the sort of behaviour you want to see, right? Who to target? The leadership contenders are not themselves going to brief against their rivals. It will be some supporter on the sly. But how to find out who when it will be anonymous? And let's say you twist the odd arm and you find out the source. What if it's not someone formally connected with the campaign? Even if you know they are supporting this person, how can you punish the leadership contestant who has deniability over the whole thing? And then, given that the sanction involves a public rebuke, you end up making the Conservative Party look like it can't even behave respectfully towards one another. Because you'd be highlighting the fact that Tory MPs cannot even treat other Tory MPs with respect. So why would voters think they'll respect them? And finally, what if a contestant is rebuked? Let's say it's deployed. Let's say it doesn't create this massive row, but a contestant is rebuked. They're given the yellow card and then goes on to win the contest. Well, the next Tory leader is then someone considered, even by the Tories, to be incapable of a basic level of expected behaviour. I mean, the entire concept's a nonsense. But at the same time, you can also see why they're doing it. They know if they do nothing, the leadership race will descend into bitter infighting next month. They're desperate to avoid that. They remember summer 2022. They do not want to repeat. And I'm not going to say I can stand here and think of better ideas. I've got no better ideas. I absolutely sympathise with their position. There are grown-ups in the Tory party. They're just not taking part in the leadership contest because the Tories long ago stopped valuing serious leaders. So they're trying to persuade the toddlers that they've put up for the job to be on their best party manners. Otherwise, there'll be a stern finger wagging coming their way. Is that really going to work, though? The best they can probably hope for is that this yellow card acts to make candidates and their campaigners think twice. I'm not sure I see it being realistically used because that has the potential just to make things way worse. Finally, as we're talking about the Tory leadership contest, which, as I say, is going to be a bit of a theme over the next few weeks, as a little aside, if you want to know just how ridiculous the Telegraph is these days, because you may remember a time in the past when, yeah, OK, it was one of the crop of Tory client media papers, like, a lot of them, most of them. But at least it tried to behave a little credibly. Not anymore. Look no further than their Conservative leadership race graphic. And this is up to date. This is from yesterday. It's got 6 faces on it, which makes sense because there are 6 contestants in the race. Only, on closer inspection, 4 of the faces are not taking part, which means 4 who are taking part are not featured. And of the 4 not taking part, 1 of them didn't even want to take part, and 2 of them were ineligible to take part at any stage. You've got to be very deep in the rabbit hole to take anything this paper says seriously these days. However, unfortunately, it is considered the most reliable outlet amongst Conservative supporters. So that's why you have to keep dipping in to see what they're trying to convince people about on a regular basis. It is taken seriously by a distressing number of people. So if anyone does want to take part in any anonymous mudslinging during the contest, I think the Telegraph is probably where they're going to do it. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe for further content and click the like button. You can also sign up for memberships if you'd like to support the channel further. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I'll see you later.